In this video, you're going to learn how to create a WGSN print method, toss and repeat print method, and how to create an additional colorway for your print, and also how to put it inside of a technical drawing and how to reduce the scale. So here's an example of the student work. For your assignment, you're going to have 4 artboards, and you're going to use your initials to create the print. So artboard number 1 will be the WGSN method print. Artboard number 2 will be a tile showing the original design here at the bottom, and then the page will be filled with the toss and repeat print. Then on the third artboard, you're going to have a second additional colorway for your toss and repeat print. And finally, the artboard number 4 is going to contain a technical drawing that is filled with your toss and repeat print reduced in scale. So let's begin with WGSN method print. So for WGSN method print, you need to first create your design, which you will repeat over and over. In your case, it's going to contain your initials, but it could contain any other elements that you wish to include. So I have a gradient, I have a pattern brush, I have a pre-existing swatch, pattern swatch put inside of the star, and I also used file place to place a JPEG of a seashell. So you can use a JPEG as well if you wish. Notice that previously we used object pattern make function to create a repeated textile print, but at that time, in using that technique, you were not able to use a pre-existing textile swatch repeated print in order to make a new repeated print. However, in this technique, you are able to use a pre-existing pattern fill, such as this one here, in order to create a new overall repeated print. So this is unique to this method, which is called WGSN method. So step number 1, create your design. Step number 2, use the black arrow and click and drag to select the entire design. Then you have to go to Object Group. So I already have grouped it. So Object Group or Command G in order to group your design. Next step will be to zoom out, select the black arrow, and click and drag to select your design. Then you're going to keep the Alt Options key pressed until I tell you to release it. So I will press the Alt Options key down, and then you can see how my cursor turns into a double arrow. That means that I'm about to duplicate this design. So to duplicate this design with the black arrow, I'm going to click and keep my mouse pressed and then drag over to the right, and I can leave it a little bit overlapped, or I can space them apart. I can go straight, or I can go a little bit towards the bottom of my screen, and I can overlap it as much as I want. So let's say I like this. So once you're happy with the direction you're going in, then you can let go of the Alt Option key, and then you can release your mouse and it'll drop off the copy. When the computer dropped off the copy for you, you will see that the copy is selected. So while this copy is still selected, you're going to hit Command D. So Command D will repeat the duplication over and over until you have a full line going down. Next step is use the black arrow to click and drag across to select the entire line, and then you can go to Command Group or right-click Group or Object Group. This will group my line. Now I want to repeat this line all over my page. So to do that, I'm going to use the Alt Option key to duplicate this line once, and then I will use Command D to do it over and over and over again until the whole page is filled. Okay, so step number 1, select your line, press Alt Options key, click and drag going down. That's going to create one copy. You can overlap it a little bit if you wish, and then let go. When you let go of the Alt Option key, the line will still be selected. So with the line still selected, you're going to hit Command D, Command D, Command D over and over again until the whole page is filled. So now you can put this design inside of a technical drawing or a rectangle. But before I do that, I'm going to add a colored background. So to add a colored background, I'm going to use red so you can see it better. And I'm going to click and drag with the rectangle tool going all across my page. And now I will select this object in red and go to right click, arrange, send to back. When I send it to back, you can see that the red background is showing through in some area, which adds additional background color to my artwork. Now I need to put this design inside of a tank top or inside of a rectangle. So in either case, you're going to need to draw that shape on top of everything. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool, black fill, so you can see it easier, but it can really be any color fill or it can be no fill at all, but you have to just draw the rectangle. Again, I'm using black so you can see it easier, and it needs to be on top of everything. Next step will be to zoom out and then use the black arrow to click and drag across to select everything, and that includes the print motifs. Once you have everything selected, then you just have to go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And the pattern will be clipped inside of your rectangle. So I will show you this one more time, but this time I'm going to use a tank top. So here's my tank top. I'm going to select it. Then I'm going to paste it here, and I will move it so that it's covering the whole artwork. I'm just going to change the line to be thicker, a little bit thicker, so you guys can see it. And you can see that it's on top of the print and on top of the colored background. Next, I'm going to zoom out and click and drag with the black arrow to select everything, including the tank top outline, which is on top. And then I will go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. So it's the same thing. I'll show you one more thing. If you don't wish to lose the outline of the tank top or the outline of the rectangle, then you'd have to copy it before you do the clipping mask. So you go to Edit Copy to make a copy first, and then you can go select everything and then go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. After that, you can go to Edit Paste in Front, and then the outline will be pasted on top. Okay, so for your assignment, I'm just asking you to simply fill a rectangle which stretches across the whole page so that I can see your design. If you have any pockets or any top stitching, that would be done in a layer on top. So I could lock this layer, add a new layer, and then here I could draw my pockets or my buttons or anything else that you wish to add to your artwork. And then the layer with the clipping mask and the print would be underneath. You could also draw them all in the same layer as well, but it's easier to work with if it's in a separate layer. Next, we're going to look at toss and repeat print method. Okay, so the next method is called toss and repeat. So in this method, step number one is to create your tile, which can be 1 by 1 inch, 2 by 2 inch, 3 by 3 inch, or any size of repeat that you wish to use. So I'm going to first click on the rectangle tool, and then using the rectangle tool, I'm going to click anywhere in the empty part of the artboard just once using the rectangle tool. So click will display a rectangle box where you can enter the size of the tile. So in my case, it'll be 2 inches. So I type in 2 inches by 2 inches, and then I click on OK. So this can be any size, but you have to remember what size you entered, and you'll see why later on. So 2 inches by 2 inches. Then you're going to use the text tool and write down your initials. I'm going to just go to Arrange, Send to Back. Make sure that my text is on top. And I have created some text earlier to save time. And I'm just going to put those elements here to fill in my tile. Okay. Then you're going to have some of the elements spill over. So in this case, the Z spills over the edge, and then the Z spills over the edge here as well. And then I could put more Zs here and perhaps here, and I can also rotate them as well. And I can put more Ds in, or more elements to fill in the space. But you have to kind of rotate them around to make it look like a toss and repeat method. And then some of the elements are spilling over the edge. Next, I'm going to select this tile with a black arrow, and then go to Edit Copy and Edit Paste Behind, or Paste in Back. So Edit Copy and then Edit Paste in Back, or Command B. And then currently you have that copy selected because you just pasted it behind. And so you're just going to change the property for the rectangle which is behind to no fill and no stroke, which is what I currently have. So that'll be my bounding box. We're going to refer to it as a bounding box. Next, I wanted to show you that you can play around with the text a little bit. If you go to Type, Create Outlines, then your text will no longer be a text object, but it'll just be a shape that you can play around with a little bit more. So if you, again, select your text, you can go to Type, Create Outlines, and then using the white arrow, you can change the look of your text in order to make it more interesting. You see, if I use the D, I can't change it at all until I can expand it by going to Type, Create Outlines, and then I can use the white arrow and change it. Next step will be to repeat this design and this design to the other side of the bounding box. So what I'm going to do next is go to Illustrator, Preferences, General, and I will change my keyboard increment to be 2 inches. So you're going to change it to whatever size of the rectangle you drew initially. So I'm going to change it to 2 inches, and then I will click on OK. So then I'm going to select with the black arrow this Z, and then I will go to Command C to copy and Command F to paste it in front. So now that I have a copy pasted on top, I can click the down arrow on my keyboard, and the Z will be duplicated and moved by 2 inches. And the reason why it's going by 2 inches is because I set my keyboard increments to be 2 inches. I'm going to repeat this Z as well. So I'm going to go to Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front, and then I will use the right arrow key on my keyboard and click it once, and the Z will move by 2 inches over. So you're going to have several elements spill out beyond the bounding box. and that's how you can create a design that looks randomly repeated. The other elements that are still here, I can move around and fill the space with more elements. And then once I'm happy with the way this looks, then I can drop this off in my swatches palette, and then it'll create a repeated print for me. So I'm going to use the black arrow. I'm going to click and drag across to select this design. I can group it. And then I'm going to click and drag. A little plus will show up, and then I will release my dragging. And you can now see the new pattern swatch inside of my swatches palette. So let's see if this worked out. So you're going to select your rectangle tool, click and drag across the page. So now that I have the rectangle, I just have to select it with the black arrow and then click on the new swatch that I created, and then my design will be repeated over and over using the toss and repeat method. You can go back and fix your original tile if you want to improve it. And then once you're happy, you can then take one of your technical drawings. In my case, I'll use this tank top, and I'll go to Command C to copy it. And I will then paste it onto my artboard number 4. Now I can use live paint, or I can just simply fill it with this print. So if you select the tank top, you can click on the new pattern that you just created, and then it's going to fill the tank top. Next, you're going to have to reduce the size of the print because it would look so much smaller when you put it inside of a technical drawing as opposed to 100% original view on a piece of fabric, which is using 2 by 2 inch tile. So what you have to do is select your technical drawing, then go to Object Transform Scale, Object Transform Scale, and then put about 40% for the size. And then you're going to turn off Transform Objects and keep the Transform Patterns turned on, checked on. And then in the preview you can see how much smaller the print looks inside of the tank top. So I'm happy with this now, and I can click on OK. Next, we're going to learn how to create additional colorways. So first I'm going to use the black arrow. I will click on my rectangle that's filled with the original colorway. I will press the Alt Options key. I will drag over and release all of the keys and dragging in order to create a copy. Then you will make sure that the copy is selected with the black arrow. Then you're going to go to Window Color Guide, and then you will click once on this button here, which is called Edit or Apply Colors. And then you're going to select Custom from the drop-down menu here where it says Preset, and you're going to select All where it says Colors. So from the drop-down menu that says Colors, you select All. Then to change the first color, you're going to double-click on where it says New. So this used to be red, but now I want it pink, so I will select pink, and then I will double-click on the New for the black colorway. So double-click here, and now I want this to be blue, so I will select the blue and click OK. So what used to be red is now pink, and what used to be black is now blue. So you can see that it actually already did it for you. And if you're happy, you can click on OK. And here now you actually have the new colorway already saved. So if I want to select this tank top, I do already have the new colorway in my swatches. Now, if you wish to save these swatches for a future use, you would go to the library button, save swatches, and then you can call it whatever you want. So let's say menu prints, and I can then save this on my USB or my desktop. It'll be swatched as a, it'll be saved as a swatch file. So I just click on save. And so if I wanted to load them, I could go to library button, other library, desktop, and I go down to where it says new prints, and then I click on open. So here are my new prints, including the ones that I just created in the palette. You can see them all here. And that's it for today.